Hi, welcome to the first session of the course. What are the foods that our children get attracted to? Fried foods, burgers, pizza, then Manchurians, French fries, and so on, right? So what are the things that are present in these foods that attract our children? Why do they like these foods? We are going to look into these aspects now.
Why do children like some food so dearly? That is because of something known as food trinity: fat, salt and sugar. If you observe, all the food that is addictive to the children or the children love the most, they have these things in an excess quantity. Either they have to have combination of fat and salt, or combination of fat and sugar, right? So if you see, the French fries are known to have more salt than the normal French fries, that you can probably make at home. That creates a compulsive pattern in the children's mind to have it again and again. Talking about the taste, Ayurveda talks about 6 tastes, but then modern science recognizes only 4 tastes. These are sour, sweet, bitter and salty. In early 1900s, there was a 5th taste that was discovered by a Japanese scientist called Kikune Ikeda, and he called it as umami. What he did was, he took the kombu, that is algae, sea algae, and then it was in a dry form, and he kept on boiling it to an extent that he formed a crystalline material, and then that he added to the food. And he asked his wife and kids, he tried basically on them, and then they found that it is something that they had never tasted before. It was an eureka moment for him. He had discovered a new taste. The objective of this taste was to basically enhance the food consumption in Japanese people, and thus by giving them better nourishment. This umami taste is also known as deliciousness or savory taste. If you see the taste buds as shown in the pictures, they are concentrated on certain regions, but by and large they are distributed in all over the tongue. For example, the bitter taste, if you see the green dots over here, the concentration is more towards the end of the tongue. It also answers why the children do not like the bitter taste. So scientifically, if you see, the human body is supposed to taste something, and if you talk of the vegetables or anything that is bitter, it could also be poisonous. Alright. So because of that, the human body automatically rejects it, because the body does not want to consume it. And that is why question of why the children do not like the bitter taste is answered over here. Umami taste comes basically out of glutamic acid that is naturally present in many foods, such as mushrooms, tomatoes, soy, and kombu, that's a seaweed, parmesan cheese. So all these things, they have the umami present in them. Umami is of course a discovered taste, but basically this is glutamic acid is present in them. And then when it is manufactured industrially, they call it as Ajinomoto. That's a brand name. And although, as I said, the intention of discovering this was a very naive one, but then just in order to make the food taste much better, maybe 10x or 100x for that matter, people started misusing it. Especially if you have heard of this Chinese restaurant syndrome that happened during 60s and 70s, even now also it happens in the US. They are intolerant about the Chinese food because they think that the usage of Ajinomoto is too much in that. Rightfully so, because Ajinomoto was found to be having some health complications in the people that they had it. But then there are clearly two group of people. One group says that umami is, the Ajinomoto is bad for health. The other group says Ajinomoto is not that bad for health. Nevertheless, what we are of the opinion is that Ajinomoto is not necessarily the food. It is not a food, right? So if you have to eat food, you eat food. You don't have to eat anything that is coming from outside. Okay, even then it is manufactured out of organic elements. All right. So we are also not in a very much favor of adding anything just in order to enhance the taste, especially when it is chemical. All the more the chemicals are anyway present in the harvest, the crops nowadays. Then why to add even more chemicals in order to hamper our health even further?
Now we'll see in a scientific way, why do children like junk food? So there is something called prefrontal cortex in the brain, the main function of this part is decision making and self-control. But the thing is, it is fully developed at the age of 20. So naturally, teenagers or children, they tend to behave irrational and impulsive because this part of the brain is not fully developed. And they cannot stop themselves from eating junk food, from these temptations. So it's not all their fault, isn't it?
If you ask them to eat vegetables, first answer will be no. Why do you think that the children do not like vegetables? Let us see that also. If you see scientifically, vegetables are not calorically rich. They are not calorically dense. Now what we mean by this is, unlike the packaged food which have more of sugar, salt and all that, so they induce the glucose in the blood very suddenly. And children, as it is, they are bubbling with energy, they need sudden push for their energy, and that is why they tend to like that food more. The taste is also there and sudden burst of energy comes out of having that food. That is why they tend to have that more. And vegetables, unfortunately, they do not give it immediately. Of course, there is a long-term benefit, as we all know, but then children do not recognize that. Vegetables are naturally bitter in taste. Now, we may not feel that, but the children are more sensitive to that bitter taste. They are also called as super tasters because they can eat bland food more joyfully than us, and the moment you give them some spicy food or bitter food or salty food, they tend to taste that more than us. Okay, that is the reason probably they do not like the bitter taste in vegetables. Why we have built-in tolerance is only because of our experience. We read a lot, we accumulate the knowledge, and we know that the vegetables are not that bad. Even the bitter taste, although it is kind of a poison, but that poison will not harm us, but it has a lot of beneficial elements also in it. That is why we know all these things, and we have got our own experience, right? And we adults, so we have kind of built some tolerance for the vegetables. Because children act more on an instinct than the cognition, they tend to hate the vegetables. And there is also something known as paired associative learning. Children tend to associate the food with the events. Suppose you take the example of the chips, the pizzas, burgers and all that. Either it could be the parties or birthdays, or whenever the families go out, they have the food outside, vacations. All these are joyful moments. So they directly connect the food with the moments that they have had, and they would like to repeat that all the time. That is why they tend to like the so-called junk food more than the mundane vegetables, which is anyway daily affair, right? Now let us look into this dopamine effect. What is dopamine? It is nothing but a chemical messenger known as happy hormone or feel-good hormone. Whenever anything good is going to happen, suppose you are given an exam and you are expecting good results, or you have fallen in love with somebody, some good happening is going to come in your life, you are going to vacation, various such things will create an unknown happiness inside us. And that is basically dopamine effect. It is more of an expectation of something good going to happen than the reward itself, than the event itself. So same with the food also. Whenever children have these foods, so it's a happy syndrome or a feel good syndrome. And as I said in the PAL also, and the dopamine effect is a predominant cause for liking a particular food and not liking a particular food. So this happens in everybody, including the children. Why only children? It happens in us also, but more so in children because of the reasons that are already mentioned.
So this junk food, actually they reduce the dopamine, but the very thought of having junk food is what causes the dopamine effect in all of us, in the children in particular. And the food that naturally enhance dopamine are spinach, avocado, pumpkin seeds, eggs, green tea, ACV, almond, watermelon, and so many other things.
So it is an irony that in the long run, what enhances the dopamine are themselves are rejected in the first place because of the feel-good syndrome that whatever we have, So that is it.
Now we'll see the factors that influence food choices, our food choices. The first one is taste. As we have already discussed, taste depends on the three things: trinity, salt, sugar and fat. So these things are more in the junk food, as it's but natural that we get attracted to those foods, isn't it? Then comes convenience. It's more of the convenience of the adults. So we can easily order those food or get the packaged food and give it to our children, make it available for them so that our work is done. That's a sad thing to do, isn't it? Then comes the cost part. So today burgers are available at 69 rupees. So how cheap can it be? Pizzas, and there are so many offers that are happening once in a week. They give offers on these foods. So why will not people go for such foods?
They advertise like pizzas are for 500 rupees and then you can get 2 pizzas in 500 rupees, meaning buy one get one free. That will also be a big influencing factor in food choice.
True, very true. That would be an obvious choice for everybody. And then advertisement. These things play a major role in deciding the food, what we want to have. It could be from the television, from the internet, even from the simple thing, that pamphlet that comes along with the newspaper at home, the pictures that they show that make those foods very tempting for not only for the children but also for we adults.
And endorsement by the film stars or sports stars, that also plays a major role.
Yes.
If Sachin Tendulkar, Amir Khan or Shah Rukh Khan, they are saying something about it, then definitely it is going to influence our decision as well.
True. Then it's easy availability of these junk food. Then the easy availability of such foods. The packaged foods, they are available in the supermarkets, in the nearby mom and pop shops. Even the online deliveries are such an easy option for people, especially the working people, that it becomes an obvious choice for them. The last thing is, go wrong with the mask, then we write alone syndrome. So what is this?
When you talk of the health food, they have kind of an aversion. They are building an aversion because majority of the people actually does not like the so-called healthy food for various reasons. And if a person actually happens to like the healthy food, even he would not like it because the majority of the people does not like it.
He doesn't want to be an odd man out in the crowd.
So they would rather like to be with the wrong than be right alone.
So these are the factors that influence our food choices.
Now, what are the solutions for this? There are so many solutions. We will talk about it, and that's why this course is made. The first and foremost choice that you can do is very easy one. You can try to make your food more palatable in children's sense and not in our sense, and try to adorn it the way these people do it. We have to basically talk in the same language that they understand. If you think that they are already addicted to that or they already have started liking it. We have seen many parents who do not consciously give the junk food to their children early on in their life, which is very good. But if you find that the children are falling prey to the junk food, then this is what you can do. You can also caramelize it by adding jaggery, not sugar. Then you can add various types of salts are available. They are also different from the taste perspective. Then you can add the sourness to it. You can add the fat by adding the cream or paneer and various things. Not necessarily in a very unhealthy way, because making paneer dish at home is much better than buying paneer dish from outside.
Definitely.
And you can repeat the such exposure, and in a way that it is celebrated. You can celebrate the food literally every day, in the sense that the celebration does not need to be the way you celebrate the special occasions, otherwise they will become mundane, right? So how you celebrate the food is by giving more knowledge about the food, by talking more about the food, and then actually making them feel good to aspire for the food. So you can create some positive association with the food. Definitely the reward and the punishment should not be there, because that is what is going to give them a different experience in having the food. So no reward, no punishment, but you can build a positive association with having healthy food.
Yeah, because they wouldn't like us preaching them about the vegetables, always keep on telling them that you should have these vegetables and you should not be having these. Rather, we can have an interactive session with them so that it becomes very interesting for them and they look forward to those foods.
So we are going to see more such solutions through our demonstration of some recipes also, as well as in some theory courses which we are going to cover in the following videos. So that brings us to the end of the first video. We will see you in the second one.
Bye-bye.